been trying to decide between purchasing a Lamy 2000 and a Pilot Custom Heritage 92, and I was wondering if you could compare and contrast them. Note that cost is not an issue. So that's interesting, Alec, because the cost difference between these two is notable, but I'm not going to take that into account because you said cost is not an issue. So I've got a Lamy 2000 and a Custom Heritage 92. Now I just talked about, in previous question, I just talked about the Custom 74. And the Custom Heritage 92 is essentially a Custom 74 with a piston mechanism in it. Like, it's the same nib, it writes the same feed, everything. It's got a lot of the same benefits of the Custom 74, writes great. But it's clear. It's only available in clear in the US. You can get it from Japan, you know, in other colors and stuff, but for me being a US retailer, all I have access to is the US one, which is the clear one. So let me try and cover like some of the things. So let me start with the Lamy 2000. Okay, so some of the things that I like about the Lamy 2000. The material is really durable. So I'm not really as careful with the Lamy 2000 about keeping it like inside a pen sleeve and stuff like that when I carry it around. It's very durable. Like it's called Macrolon. It's a mixture of fiber, like it's a fiberglass resin type material. So it's really durable. So you don't have to worry about it, you know, getting like fine scratches and stuff like that. And if you do get some scratches on here, you can polish it out pretty easily with like a Scotch pad or Scotch-Brite pad or something like that. Because it has kind of like this brushed look to it. So you can kind of repair it yourself pretty easily. But even this one, I've been carrying around a lot and it hasn't really needed that. So it's very durable, got kind of this industrial design to it. It's got a snap cap, which is super convenient. Just, you know, very easy to just whip out and then write. Another major plus is it's got a hooded nib, which means that only the tip of the nib is going to kind of show here. So most of the nib is actually covered up by the pen grip, which means if you like to grip close to the end, you can do so without getting ink on your fingers as much. But also it keeps the nib wetter. So if you're writing and for longer periods and you're pausing in between taking notes at a meeting, or if you're having time to think and you're going for a minute or two without writing anything, this pen is going to fare really well for that, especially if you're using kind of a wetter ink. It's not going to have to worry about capping and recapping all the time like that. It's also kind of neat. It's got a spring clip in here, which means you're not actually bending the clip to clip it, but it's got a little spring built in there, so that's kind of cool. Let's see here. So some drawbacks is it's got kind of a finicky sweet spot, especially on the extra fine and maybe the fine nib. It can be kind of something you have to get used to. It's not as forgiving with pen rotation in your hand. So it's usually not a big deal. Most people are able to get used to it pretty quickly, but some people are just like, I can't handle this pen, and they return it, and it's totally understandable. But that's what's going on there. And it's piston filler too, which so is the other one, but very convenient, easy filling. So to the Custom Heritage 92. So ink capacity on these, I haven't measured exactly, but I think it's pretty comparable between the two. Advantage of this one is it's easy to see the ink level. There is an ink window on the Lamy 2000, but it's not quite as easy to tell. And it's only this little tiny sliver of a window. So you can see when your ink's getting really low, but you can't see how low until it gets to that point. Heritage 92, you can see everything. It bears all, right? And you can see the mechanism as it's moving up and down. So it's a lot more like visual kind of a thing that you can see going on. So that's kind of cool. And then let's see here. It's got the same nib that's on the Custom 74, which I love. It's a little bit more forgiving. If you like finer nibs, going with a fine Heritage 92 is going to be really, really fine. Like pretty much finer than the extra fine Lamy 2000. So that's something to be taken into consideration as well. And I just really love the way it writes. So that's pretty much it. So in the end, they're really comparable. Like, I mean, they're different, but they're both really fantastic pens. So I would say, you're gonna laugh here, but I would say if price is no object to you, get both because they're awesome pens. But if you really can only get one pen and price is no object, it's going to be really tough to decide between the two. I probably would prefer the Lamy 2000, just personally, because I like the durability aspect of it. And it is kind of a very different pen. I have a Custom 74. It's not as much of a difference between the 92 and the 74. So I like having the 74 and the Lamy 2000 because it's kind of a different writing experience between the two. But I could easily recommend either of these pens. You won't regret getting either one.